This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Water deity's face revealed a hint of confusion. She shook her head and said, I don't know, but he must have an extremely powerful fire god art. If your fire god art can't satisfy me, then you're not the person I'm looking for. The longhorned sea expert couldn't help but laugh. Isn't Miss Water Deity taking this too lightly? Just based on this, do you want to search the entire Eastern Sea? Kill all those who don't meet the requirements? The Water Deity's expression returned to normal and she said, of course not. That person will definitely appear in this dazzling treasure meet. I've already waited for 3 years. 3 years? Miss Water Deity was getting more and more outrageous. The dazzling treasure meet is held once every 5 years. Could it be that you guys had already made an agreement 3 years ago? But if that's the case, how can you not know who you're looking for? The longhorned sea tribe's expert felt a burst of bitterness in his heart. He felt that he had encountered a lunatic, and a powerful lunatic at that. This time, he was really in big trouble, and he was trying to think of a way to escape. The water deity's face showed a trace of pain, and she said slowly, 3 years ago, I met a fortune teller on the human continent. He told me that I would meet the person I was looking for in the Xiankong Islands treasure show event 3 years later. That's why 3 years later, when the Xiankong Islands treasure show began, I came. The long-horned marine race expert cursed the clairvoyant in his heart. With a long face, he said, isn't Miss Water Deity taking this too lightly? The treasure show is about to begin, and everyone within a radius of 10,000 miles has come. Those who have come from 10,000 miles away have also come, but there are only 3 fire element martial technique cultivators. Young miss, you've been fooled. Water Deity's expression changed as she said excitedly, that's impossible. That person comes from a fortune-telling family and has great prestige among the human race. He won't lie to me, nor will he be wrong. You must be the person I'm looking for. The longhorned sea tribe expert was stunned for a moment. Then, he was overjoyed and quickly said, if that's the case, then that should be it. The beast-headed man snorted coldly, show me your fire god art. The longhorned marine race expert laughed awkwardly. It's obvious now. I'm the person Miss Water Deity is looking for. There's no need to show it, right? The Water Deity said coldly, yes. We can't make a mistake about this. The longhorned marine race expert's expression changed as he muttered in his heart, if what the clairvoyant said is true, is the person this girl is looking for really me? I do have an extremely powerful fire god art, but no matter how strong it is, it can't be stronger than this shark-headed man. What should I do? Cheap. If I don't hit you, you won't be honest. The beast-headed man's face darkened when he saw Chu Feng's hesitation. A black flame suddenly burst out of his body, and he put his hands together and pushed them out. A force that could topple mountains and overturn seas came pouring down. The black flames were like a surging river, falling from the sky and turning the sky into a sea of black fire. The longhorned marine race expert's expression changed drastically. He was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He knew that he could no longer hesitate, so he shouted and formed a seal with both hands. The long horn on his head immediately turned golden and shot out rays of golden light, protecting his entire body. The water deity's eyes lit up and she said in surprise, golden flames? Could it really be him? Her face finally blushed from her excitement, and her whole body looked even more radiant and beautiful. The black flame kept spinning around the longhorned sea tribe warrior and squeezing in. However, it couldn't break through the golden flame. The longhorned sea tribe's expert also revealed a trace of joy. He raised his brows and pushed out his palms as he shouted, Ancient Emperor, 3 great emperors. Golden flames flew out of the horn and rushed into the black flames. The black sky was suddenly filled with golden light. The beast-headed man looked at the flame calmly and said, this golden flame is indeed quite powerful. It should be an innate divine ability of their race, but I keep feeling that it's still far from the requirements of young Miss. Water Deity was also deep in thought, and her eyes were filled with hesitation. My black flames are also inheritances, the beast-headed man said. They're different but have the same effect as this person's golden flames. If he really is the person the young lady is waiting for, then doesn't that mean that his entire clan has fulfilled the conditions? The water deity was also a little uncertain, her eyebrows slightly furrowed, and she said, even if it's an innate divine ability, not every clansman can inherit it. Perhaps he's the only one in his clan who can obtain this golden flame. She paused for a moment before continuing. You should be familiar with the Duanmu family's divination techniques. Since he can accurately predict it, it can't be wrong. If that's the case, then I'll increase my power a bit more and test his potential, the beast-headed man said. His previous attacks were only a test. Now, he formed a seal with one hand, and a strange symbol appeared in his hand. The same symbol suddenly appeared in the black flames in front of him, but it was magnified hundreds or thousands of times, and it suddenly pressed down. Boom boom boom. The golden flames on the longhorned sea tribe expert's body suddenly dispersed. The power of the black flames had increased by many times under the influence of the strange symbol. It had directly scattered his flames. He suddenly revealed a terrified expression, and his eyes were filled with despair. Mo Sha, stop. The water deity frowned. Miss, are you afraid that my black flames will burn him? The beast-headed man asked. If his flame god art can't even stop me, black flame, how can he be of use to the young lady? Water deity was silent. Her clear eyes stared ahead, hoping for a miracle to happen. She hoped that the longhorned sea tribe would turn defeat into victory. Boom. Suddenly, a huge tremor came from the black flames, and the entire sky trembled. Boom boom boom. The loud trembling sound came one after another, and the power of each strike was stronger by a few points. The black flames that filled the sky were blasted into pieces under the impact, unable to condense. Mo Sha's expression changed greatly and he said in shock, what? Could he really be the person the young miss is looking for? The water deity's eyes also bloomed with surprise, and she was in high spirits. The expert from the longhorned sea tribe was stunned. He felt that the black flames were getting weaker and weaker. He didn't know what was going on, but he seemed to have been saved. A huge power that came from nowhere helped him to dissipate the black flames. Could it be that I'm really the one Miss Water Deity is looking for, her Mr. Right? The longhorned sea tribe expert's mood soared from the bottom of the valley to the sky. He felt as if he had risen from hell to the clouds. It was as if an endless life of happiness was waiting for him. He wanted to cultivate with this fairy-like beauty. When he thought of this, his body immediately reacted and he started laughing foolishly. Mo Sha and Water Deity saw this and thought that the black flame was broken by the longhorned sea tribe expert. Boom boom boom. With another huge tremor, the sky above the longhorned sea tribe expert shattered and a triangular object shot out. A large area of space was directly torn apart by the huge force, shattering in all directions, emitting endless rumbles. The object was still charging forward, and everywhere it passed turned into nothingness and darkness. What is this? The three of them were stunned at the same time as they looked at the profound level weapon in horror. That triangle seemed to be only the tip of an iceberg, and it kept hitting the space, causing the holes to become bigger and bigger, revealing more and more parts. It was actually a huge battleship, sweeping across the world. Boom. After the final collision, the entire sky fell into darkness, as if a huge jade plate had been shattered in the middle. From a distance, it was clear and dark, and under the dark night, there was a warship the size of a huge island floating. Moreover, at the last moment when the battleship charged out, the head of the battleship hit the longhorned sea tribe expert's body due to its high speed and was directly hit by the attack formation. Bang. As the latter was stunned by the scene in front of him, he did not react in time and was hit head-on. With a scream, a large piece of flesh burst out of his chest, and he fell directly into the sea. The person I'm looking for. The water deity also reacted after a short moment of daze. She cried out in shock, losing her fairy-like demeanor. A ray of white light streaked across the sky at a speed that was almost impossible to catch. The falling longhorned sea tribe expert was caught by a force and suspended on the surface of the sea. The water deity was standing in front of him. Her expression was getting colder and colder, and it was as if she was covered in frost. Emosha was also shocked. With a bang, he scuttled down and arrived behind water deity. He saw that the longhorned sea tribe expert's chest had been completely destroyed. He could not be more dead.
Ah.
Young lady, he's mumbling. Emosha was stunned. Feeling the coldness from the water deity, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. He had been searching for this person for so many years. He had finally found the right time and place, but he was killed as soon as he found him. No one could stand it. The water deity slowly raised her head. Her calm eyes were filled with a raging storm. Endless killing intent burst out as she stared at the huge battleship in the sky. The seawater beneath her began to roar and disperse in all directions. It was actually fleeing in fear, and all of a sudden, a huge black vortex hole was revealed, which led directly down. Emosha's forehead was also covered in cold sweat. This was the first time he had seen such an angry water deity. He could not help but look up. This was also the first time he had seen such a large battleship. Suddenly, an ice-cold hum came from the battleship and cut through the sky. Li Yunxiao, you can die now. Boom. The sound of clashing palms came from the warship, and a large light bloomed above the warship like a huge firework, flashing and then disappearing. Then, a ray of light shot out from the ship and turned into a handsome young man a few hundred meters away. He smiled and said to the ship, "Brother Xiang, I don't understand. You see race people spend all day in the water, so where do you get such a temper and fight and kill all day?" On the 9th grade warship, the human warriors immediately surrounded Xiang, and the battle started. As soon as the passage was broken, Xiang launched an attack and took the lead to attack Yunxiao, which alerted the crowd. Baiming Kongtian's divine sense also locked onto Fei Ming. His eyes gradually turned cold as he said in a cold voice, "You really don't put my Baiming family in your eyes. Looks like I can only kill you two first." The more he studied the tyrant body tempering technique, the happier he became. He was determined to get the next part of the cultivation technique and could not allow any accidents to happen. There was a flash of light at Fei Ming's waist and a long sword appeared behind his waist. His right hand pressed on the hilt of the sword and he was ready to attack. An invisible murderous aura spread from his body. It was abnormally terrifying and forced the human warriors around him to retreat in shock. "Human powerhouses, calm down," he said with a smile. "I'll fight you again after Highness Xiang kills Yunxiao." Baiming Kongtian sneered and said coldly, "What qualifications do you have to negotiate with me? Today, the two of you will be reduced to ashes. I will be kind and scatter your ashes into the sea." Fei Ming laughed. "Although you're a peak 8 stars martial sovereign, it's not easy to kill me on the sea. Why don't we just stand there and watch them? It won't be too late to enter the battle when the situation is urgent." Baiming Kongtian fell into deep thought. As long as they could suppress Fei Ming, even if that Xiang fused several dragon secret treasures, it would be impossible for him to defeat them. Even if they had the advantage of the sea, they still had a 9th grade battleship, which was enough to ward off all environmental interference. "Your words are reasonable. Then the two of us shall wait for the results of the battle." Baiming Kongtian wasn't in a hurry. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and locked onto Fei Ming's every move. He did not believe that Xiang had the ability to kill Yunxiao. Besides, he was confident that if Yunxiao was really no match for him, he was also confident that he could suppress Xiang and Fei Ming at the same time. Baiming Kongtian and Fei Ming's unmoving confrontation was immediately seen by everyone. With a ferocious smile on his face, Xiang strode toward Yunxiao. With the fusion of 5 dragon artifacts, the human experts around him were just dregs. The crowd kept retreating under his explosive power, and most of them were watching from afar. These warriors were basically divided into 3 groups, Baiming Dark Palace's group, Red Moon City's group, and Yunxiao's group. Except for Yunxiao's group, the rest of the people had long hidden far away. Even Liao Yangbing and Jing Yongye's faces had turned pale under the power of Ruo Xiang's power, increasing one realm at a time. Yunxiao stood far away in the air, his eyes narrowed slightly. He could more or less estimate Ruo Xiang's strength, and even if he could not win, he would not be killed. The humiliation of the defeat in Red Moon City will end here today. Ruo Xiang took the last step, and the aura on his body instantly rose to the peak. The powerful dragon breath burst out unscrupulously and spread out in the sky. Water deity and Mo Sha, who were above the sea, both felt this power and were stunned. Mo Sha was suddenly shocked. This is the power of dragon breath? Is that the royal family of the Eastern Sea on the battleship? Under the influence of the dragon breath, the water deity's killing intent gradually dissipated. She raised her head in confusion and said softly, I just heard that human say something about Ruo Xiang. Ruo Xiang? Mo Sha was shocked and said in shock, the genius expert from the North Sea's royal family, Ruo Xiang? Why did he come to the Eastern Sea? The water deity's expression returned to normal and she said, I've also heard of this person. His bloodline power is extremely strong, and he's outstanding among the royal families of the North Sea. Judging from the power of his dragon breath, he's even stronger than the rumors say. Mo Sha said, this battleship seems to be owned by the human race. I don't know what relationship Ruo Xiang has with these humans. Miss Water Deity, this person is dead. What should we do now? The water deity looked at the long-horned sea tribe expert and said, find out which race he's from. After this, we'll go to his race and see if we can find some opportunities. As for these people who ruined my plans. She raised her head and a cold glint flashed in her eyes. She said coldly, we can't let a single one of them go. Mo Sha's pupils contracted, and a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. He replied, yes. The two people facing each other in the sky also felt the aura below. Their eyes narrowed as they looked toward the sea. That's... Ruo Xiang's expression suddenly changed drastically, revealing a look of shock, as if he couldn't believe it. Looking at the spotless, white, and unpatterned water deity, he suddenly became a little absent-minded and said in shock, she's. Looks like that kid recognized you, miss. Mo Sha's face revealed a sinister smile. With a bang, he soared into the sky and stood at the far end of the warship. He coldly said, if you have any grudges to settle, hurry up. I'll send you to the west later. The ripples in Ruo Xiang's eyes became deeper and deeper. He looked away from water deity in shock and landed on Mo Sha. The one below is. Mo Sha laughed coldly, revealing a trace of ridicule, you're really Ruo Xiang of the Northern Sea. Since you've already recognized the young lady's identity, then obediently let me cut you down. Ruo Xiang's expression changed drastically, and his eyes flickered with emotions that were difficult to calm down. He shouted in shock, who do you think you are, to think you can kill me? Mo Sha spread out his hands and shrugged his shoulders. With a helpless expression, he said, it's Mrs. Order. I have no choice. Who asked you to kill the person the young lady has been looking for? Everyone was puzzled. Not only Yunxiao and Nan Gongwuk, but the rest of the people on the warship also frowned. A shark-headed Sea Clan member had appeared out of nowhere, and he seemed to be quite strong. On the other hand, Baiming Kongtian and Fei Ming's expressions turned grave. They sized up Mo Sha and were immediately shocked. They couldn't see through the Sea Clan's expert's cultivation. Ruo Xiang's face was full of doubt as he said, the person the young lady is looking for? What's your relationship with me? Mo Sha shook his head and said, he's already dead. I can't explain it clearly. In short, all of you have to die. Yunxiao could not help but laugh and said, I really don't understand. Where did you see race get this sense of superiority from? You can kill whoever you want? Who do you think you are? Do you still think you're in the 10 Directions Divine Realm and can run amok in the world? He didn't hide his contempt and said disdainfully, all of them look weird. One look and I can tell that they're not fully evolved. Aren't they too self-inflated? Damn it. Mo Sha was furious. He turned to look at Ruo Xiang and said, Ruo Xiang, kill this person, and perhaps the young lady will spare your life. A trace of displeasure flashed across Ruo Xiang's face. He looked down at the white and pure figure, and his heart trembled slightly. He retracted his gaze and said coldly, although Li Yunxiao's words are not pleasant to hear, there are still some parts that are right. Even if you are really that young lady, don't you dare act all high and mighty in front of me. His pupils contracted and shot out killing intent. He said in a cold voice, the one I respect is that young lady. As for you, a servant, what kind of dog are you? You dare to berate me? Mo Sha's expression sank and even became somewhat distorted. The surrounding space slightly distorted under his anger. His eyes spewed out flames of anger as he roared, if that's the case, then what's the point of keeping you alive? All of you can go to hell. A black flame rose from his palm, burning in the sky. It illuminated Mo Sha's entire figure, making him somewhat absent-minded. Both Yunxiao and Ruo Xiang's faces flickered. Mo Sha's strength was unfathomable, and even Yunxiao, a 9th-tier alchemist, could not detect it with his divine sense. It was only then that he realized that it was because of the black demonic flame that could burn his divine sense directly. Black demon flame, incinerate all things. Mo Sha's face turned stern, and a murderous look burst out of his eyes. The demonic flame in his hand exploded into several fireballs with a bang, shooting toward Yunxiao and Ruo Xiang. Yunxiao's eyes turned serious. The power contained in the black flame was extremely strong. Although it was nothing compared to his divine flame, under the power of the devil sand, even ordinary flames dared not be careless, let alone this power that could burn everything. He flipped his left palm, and the tears of the true dragon gathered in his palm. With a clench, the mist condensed into a ball of water vapor and formed a water mirror to protect his front. That's... Mo Sha's and Ruo Xiang's pupils both contracted, especially the latter. The moment the true dragon's tear appeared, he had sensed it and was both surprised and happy. Bang! Bang! The two demonic flames smashed directly into the water mirror, piercing through the true dragon's tear and shooting out from the back. However, the demonic flames were directly filtered out, leaving behind two pure forces. Yunxiao's body flickered slightly, and he was dazed for a moment in the air, allowing the two attacks to pass through his body and shoot into the distance. Mo Sha's eyes showed a hint of surprise. He had seen Yunxiao's strength and thought it would only take one move, but he did not expect the other party to resolve it so easily. On the other hand, a dragon's roar rang out from Ruo Xiang's side, and a fist came down from the sky. The dragon's roar, the tiger's roar, the forest. Bang! 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 The demonic flames exploded, and the power of the fist continued to blast forward. It rushed toward Mo Sha with a dragon's might that suppressed everything. A dragon shape was vaguely formed in the fist's might. This punch was filled with Ruo Xiang's disdain and anger. The descendant of a true dragon wasn't someone that anyone could provoke. Mo Sha's pupils contracted. He didn't dodge or evade. The power of that punch directly blasted on his body, causing his body to be shaken and retreat dozens of meters. The aftershock of the fist's power shook the water below and rushed into the clouds like a waterfall. It spread in the sky and turned into countless water droplets, falling down like rain. A trace of fear flashed in Ruo Xiang's eyes. Mo Sha had actually taken his attack head-on without being injured. However, his face was filled with arrogance as he said coldly, "Slave, if you don't want to die, get lost." As soon as he said the word "scram," his dragon might exploded in the sky, and circles of unparalleled battle intent exploded like water ripples, rushing in all directions. The ocean below also rolled up huge waves, spinning in this world. Only the area where water deity was in the air was still as calm as water, with only a slight ripple. She did not know if it was her power suppressing the dragon's roar, or if the dragon's roar was deliberately avoiding her.